It's Wednesday, April the 3rd. I want to welcome everybody back. This is class number 12, week number 13. We're approaching the end of the semester. Hope you're having fun so far, and we're going to be having a nice ending with the modules and everything we have left here in this class. And I'm going to switch my camera over, and we're going to continue. All right, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen as always. Please let me know when you can see it so I know it's visible and everyone can see my screen. Very good. Thank you. All right, so we have 2 classes left technically. The last class is usually presentations. I'm sure I'm going to find something fun to do with us. Sometimes we'll have like a pizza party or something. Who knows? If you're doing the last semester, we always have something exciting. We're doing well with our scheduling, everything, our due dates, all the assignments and projects, everything's going nicely so far. There's no setbacks. I was looking at some of the lessons from the past, and especially last week's lesson. We finished the web segment. And the projects, of course, you have one more assignment, and you're going to finish this off, even like it's due at the last day of class. We're going to get into that today after I finish my other topic here that I'm going to cover. So this is the last assignment. Okay, it's called a motion design for web. It's an animation assignment, so I'm very excited to share some of the more fun stuff of Photoshop now going forward. We're going to be learning how to create animations in Adobe Photoshop. And of course, there's better animation software out there. And I'm going to maybe probably share some other techniques and programs that can do maybe not necessarily better, but it's a different approach, of course, to things like this. There's more advanced software for this and professional programs from 3D to 2D. But Photoshop can do quite a bit of interesting stuff when it comes to animation. It always had the capability. It's been, over 2 decades now, the animation palette's been introduced. So nonetheless, we're going to cover that, and it's going to definitely spice up your websites and all your web content that you have to produce for, various of projects. I wrote a brief here, which I'm going to edit a little bit. I want to give you the option to do a couple of things, not just the animation that we're going to learn today, but something more advanced that I'm going to show you next week. All right, so I'm going to just do a quick little edit here, nothing big, nothing crazy. As it is right now, you're going to be going to creating a basic animation in Photoshop of any choice, okay? And I'll give you some choices to choose from, or if you come up with something of yourself, as long as you incorporate the following. So I like to see a theme, okay? Some people like to pick like a nice sports theme or any theme, okay? Any theme that can help you, even the project that you're doing now, like the band project, you might do a nice GIF animation for that one, okay? Or something totally different. The criteria is minimum of 30 frames. Now, 30 frames sounds like a lot, but honestly, in the animation industry, it's probably like 1 second. Like television frames run at once 30 frames a second. So 1 second could be a video frame. But some of the more traditional animations like Walt Disney and some of the other Japanese anime and some other animations you see, they run at a high, less frame rate. Some go from 12 to 24 frames a second. And depending on the actual animation type, you can, based on the different frame ratio, you can do a lot with not necessarily 30 frames, but you can up that to like hundreds or thousands of frames. Now, we're not going to go to that extent, but I've seen students incorporate at least 100 frames in this particular assignment from the past. So when you learn how to do this, you can see the potential as the frame rates do increase. You're also going to do some motion design. Now, this is a theme by itself. There's a motion design course that they teach you various animation software to produce motion design. The most popular one that comes to my mind right now, it's probably going to be Adobe After Effects. It is part of the Adobe family. That's a really great tool. It's a professional motion design tool that's used in the industry. Adobe Animate is pretty good. Okay. Some of the other softwares from other companies, like Maya and Render and other animation programs. There's some other advanced editing tools as well that are in the industry. So it's not necessarily Adobe based, but other programs make similar motion design software. Opacity or effects. This is like going to be a tween. A tween stands for in between the keyframes. Now, this is optional, but I think it'll definitely spruce up your overall delivery. So I left it in there for that reason. And the last bullet point I left here was how to execute this animation from Photoshop into a GIF, or some call it GIF. You're going to go to File, Export, Save for Web, and you're going to produce a GIF format. And that's going to be able to play on any internet browser. A GIF can play by itself, or any browser can play the GIF when you drag it to the actual window. Along with a PSD, this is the Photoshop format for submission. You're going to give me 2 files, a GIF and a Photoshop file, and that's going to be the delivery for this particular assignment. All right, the due date is going to be 2 weeks from now, so you do have ample amount of time to get it done. So Wednesday, April the 17th, and that's when it's due. And that's it. There's no more assignments or projects due in this class. I saw a lot of you did the book cover last time. That was great. So that was your last main project, and that basically we ended the print module for Photoshop, and now, as you know, we're entering the web module, and this is a comprehensive Photoshop course where we covered everything from the basics to the intermediate, even some of the advanced stuff as well. Now, of course, Photoshop is such a great program that we can have another 15 weeks of it and do other fun stuff. But as far as what we delivered here, all the essential techniques that you can incorporate to that branch off to other more particular methods and techniques that you can learn on your own. You'll have the confidence to do yourself. We're not going to use Photoshop next semester, not use it in terms of there's no Photoshop class, but you're definitely going to use Photoshop going forward for all your projects. When it comes to UX, UI design, which is something that I'm going to be teaching you next semester, to the portfolio, the page layout class, and the other courses as well that you're going to have. Okay, so Photoshop's always going to be your staple and your go-to application. All right, so this is the assignment, and just kind of go over some of the stuff here. The main projects are all done. The last one was the book cover. It was due at the end of the month last week, so that's already done. We talked about that enough. Everything I give you and how to do, I show you how to execute. So in case you get stuck on some of these projects and assignments, make sure you watch the videos that I've uploaded on the YouTube channel, and you can definitely catch up with all these things. The composite assignments were special because they were introduced this semester. I believe there's another composite for next semester we're having set up. But this one was the ad campaign, which you already accomplished, and that was really good. And the last one is the website that you're creating, or I should call it the album art composite assignments. You're creating a music band of some sort, and you're going to be delivering different or deliverables for different parts of your classes. So I know you have stuff that's doing probably InDesign, your page layout class. You have your probably digital drawing class as well. I think you have the web class also included, which you have to deliver like a website for the band. And lastly, it's my class where you have to create the website mockup, which is very important. If the timing was perfect, you would do this first, and then you would do the HTML segment after. But because the way things land sometimes, the point is you're learning the procedures here, not necessarily the steps, because realistically, that's the steps you would take. You would do my stuff first and then the HTML stuff second, not at the same time. But we can't always push things back and forth like that because we're delivering the same class in the same semester. So it is how it is. You'll see that next semester as well. Repeat. you'll have like a prototype due, but you'll have something similar in the web class, which might look like it's the same thing, but it's not like your portfolio. It's just how we have to, you know, put it together so it's a deliverable, right? So this is the composite 2. I think I went over it last week. Just to quickly go over it again. You'll be demonstrating the Photoshop techniques you learned. Now, the last 2 weeks I covered these specific techniques, okay, which is building a website in Photoshop from a designer's template, okay, and how you can build pretty much any type of design and convert that into a website. I showed you the 2 very important methods, popular methods, which is one of them was the old school method with the slice tool. And the last part, which is last week, was creating or generating the image assets, which is right over here. So I'm looking for layer organization and management, image placements with the frame tool. This is some of the key features I listed here. Generating image assets, very important. This is how this particular segment will help you for your real website, because when you generate the image assets, you can place those into your real website. That'll save you a great deal of time where you don't have to crop and save each image separately and put it in this website that you're not really sure how it's going to look like. Whereas the prototyping and the designing is so integral that once you have that approved, you can then export everything from your design to your HTML. I put here multiple artboards, a minimum of 4. Now, this is something I didn't cover last week. I was more interested in showing you some of the deliverables and the practical execution on the images and the content and the sources. Today, I'm going to make sure I cover this so I don't miss it. Okay, so we're going to cover that part. And this is the Photoshop PDF handout that's officially that we give just to make sure we're all on point with these deliverables. So it's the album art project. It's a website mockup and design. Okay. And everything I just read. Some additional things I want to see you still use, like layer masks and stuff, various selection methods, a generation of image assets I just talked about earlier. Layer styles are optional but could help with overall presentation. What does that mean? You might want to put a drop shadow on your titles or on your banners or something more with layer style effects that you can't achieve in your standard HTML, CSS tags. Okay, so Photoshop can step in and help you achieve these effects. Complete mock-up, including the home page, along with navigation, etc. So make it look like a real website with the menu and everything in mind. Good luck and have fun. And there's your breakdown. All right. So I'm going to show you how to create these multiple pages this evening when we start. If you have any questions other than that, I will be happy to answer them. Or otherwise, once we finish that part, we're going to enter the animation segment as well. Next week, we continue the animation segment. I'm going to teach you some more basics and advanced techniques, and that's going to be wrapping up our semester, as I mentioned earlier. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is a folder here that I have located on my desktop. Next semester, we're going to learning how to create like mobile responsive designs from, I think we'll have like one part of the Photoshop segment to help you. We're going to use a lot of, a little bit of Photoshop and Illustrator, but mostly we're going to get into Figma and Adobe XD. These are the prototyping UX, UI programs that designers use to create these wonderful prototype apps or websites. So we're going to cover the mobile stuff then, but I will talk a little bit about today as well, so you understand how the two coincide together. This is the part we left off last week, just to kind of just make sure I uploaded the right stuff here. So going back to our class modules, okay. I'm going to unlock this module today. This is module number 13, motion design. So you're going to see this one here. What you'll see is the assignment I read over earlier. So motion design for web. And I have some web ready folder with animation files for us to use. Okay, so this is for today. Last week was a very important lesson. We did a whole website, okay, from scratch. We did a mock-up. We did another thing with assets, and then we did another. It's like I have two different examples of the same thing, so you can kind of see from different different examples, different perspectives, how this is done. All right. Now, in addition to that, um, I think let me just open the file that we have here. Class 11. Yeah, so we did basically this last week. I'm sure it looks familiar to you. The main takeaway was not just slicing, but using the frame tool, the new tool that was introduced just a few years ago in Photoshop. And that tool allowed us to place images like a page layout application. I mean, if I didn't teach you the web stuff, we would make an ad in Photoshop. Okay, we would do like just like you treat InDesign, we can treat Photoshop by placing images and text and other elements of design to create any type of adverts, okay, or advertisements, some say. Because we have the website in mind, we use the same tool to create the website, which is just as good. So I don't want you to think only web. You can definitely create a like an actual a creative or any type of montage or design composition using the frame tool can serve you in many different ways, not just the website, but we use it for the website. This was the web ready stuff we made. Remember the slice tool before the image assets tool came out? A lot of the designers and today they still like to use the slice method. The slice method is pretty cool because you can also produce the HTML file. And you can see how the HTML file looks like because it looks like this. I believe we took it a step further last week. Look at this. We centered it. We matched the background color, basically. I'm going to zoom out to show you. We can actually present it like a real website. And that's a really cool thing because a lot of the programs can't really do this. And Photoshop can really, really come up to the test and make sure you deliver this website on you put on a real domain. So it looks like a real website. And yeah, you can actually make the buttons work, the navigation, and this thing can really look like like a website. And you did no coding, all Photoshop. The only problem is this: when you resize the window, it's not responsive. And up to today's standards, that's not acceptable because most people use their cell phones and stuff over their computers. So that's why you're learning the HTML and the CSS and all the other frameworks, which will produce a website, as you know already, converts it into a mobile version, okay, or responsive design. So you have your tablet and you have your mobile, and that's how that works. All right. So as far as presentation, this is still a nice takeaway, a good little trick to know. And again, I covered this quite thoroughly in the last lesson. So please watch that, the last video, and it covers all this nice stuff. All right. And now that I went over the stuff we covered last week, and this is the images that were sliced as well separately. So we did two methods. We did the slicing method, and then we did the image assets method. And the image assets was here. By putting an extension for each layer, we're able to export it as image assets, and they all came out like that. All right. Lastly, just the way this was set up, just open the Photoshop file and design. While I'm opening that, just give me one quick second here. I want to just check something quickly. I have a file I want to download. Mhm. I'll just put this on the desktop. Very well. All right, let's get back to my share screen here as well. Right, so there's my screen back being shared. If you can't see my screen, let me know, please. Otherwise, I'm assuming you're back and running here with the screen share. So we're all good. Okay. All right. Otherwise, just speak up. You can feel free to interrupt me if you feel like saying something. If in the past my screen has frozen, and students basically spoke up and told me about it. So or even if you have a question of what I'm explaining, you can always interrupt me because I can't see your hand go up sometimes when I'm hiding everything else and screen sharing. So please feel free to, if you want to, if it's important, if it's something minor, it can wait. You can always interrupt me later. But if it's something important like that, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to pause and stuff. All right, so this is where we left off with this file. Very important takeaway, the 12 column grid. Most websites use that common denominator to split up websites into 12 columns because you can put like you know, 3 images across times 4 columns. 3 times 4 is 12. Two placements here, 1 image, 1 text. They both take up 6 columns because 2 times 6 is 12, and so on and so forth. You can do a lot of cool things with this. And if you look at other websites, they do a similar breakdown of columns to do a layout and design. All right, now in comparison to this one, I did want to show you this other file that I had here that I dug up from the vaults. This is an actual website that was put together. It's like a tutorial thing I found online. Same structure, 12 columns. Um, I'm not going to waste your time by giving you this file, but I did use it in the past where the students' job was able to put this thing together and basically make it an actual website. Okay, so you would actually do this and clean it up. Your layers structures over here. It looks like a mess because anything that you haven't done before, it's probably very foreign to you. So you can definitely, not only get familiar with it, but you have to definitely, you know, familiarize yourself with where everything is, right? But you can see how see here, how much work is involved to build a website like this. So you have like the header portion. Let me just see here. You have the header portion, and the header includes like the links, the buttons, the logos, the menus. And then you have the slide portion, which some call the hero banner. Then you have another banner down here, which promotes different things. You got the testimonials section. You do have the specials down here, and you have the footer at the very bottom. So this is a quite robust in terms of the organization and delivery of all the items here. So I would say it has a lot of different layers here for you to work with, sub layers and layers. This is what you might end up with your website as well. So I know we did a basic example in class, but this is something on a higher caliber. I think I have a finished version of this one. Let me just show you that one. So, nothing different than what we did. We have also the header, the hero slider, we have the main sources, and we have the footer, right? All you would need for a band website. I think this is the other example here. This one is another example version. This one, let me just open it up to show you. All right, here's another one. This one has a lot of layers and examples here, from the footer to the banner here. You have a slide, and you have the menu or the header portion. Another example of a website built in Photoshop as an example. And lastly, we'll do this one here. This is the other one, but finished, right? So this is again 12 column. This is a lengthier website. I don't want you to think the height is only limited to this. The height is, forever and ever expanding because people can scroll forever down below. So you can scroll down, look at other stuff. You can see the layers on the right here, how they break down the website, right? You have all these groups, right? Almost half a dozen groups. And not to, repeating this back and forth, but you see all the different sections that were put together to make this website. Very important. Okay. So no matter, what kind of website you're doing, I hope you guys had dinner, by the way, because these dishes look very tasty. I can smell them from here. You can take this to the next level by incorporating all the little details and graphics that supports the actual website, okay? From text to headers, image placements, and then you can make these more interactive components after by adding some JavaScript and some other stuff, maybe putting a GIF animation, anything that excites the website a bit more. All right, so I just want to show you some other examples here besides the one we did. And again, they all have a very similar commonality, which is the 12 column layout, vertical column layout of establishing our breakdowns of all our images, okay? So what I'm going to do now is basically show you a continuation of this next step, okay? We're going to be going, I guess I'll show you multiple pages or artboards in continuation of this particular website, okay? So we're going to be, I'm going to go to the artboard tool, okay? Notice how the artboard tool is located in the move tool. I was very adamant about not using the artboard tool if you're doing a one-page website. It does get in the way when it comes to expanding certain parts of it. Sometimes it's better not to use artboards, okay? But because of the nature of creating a website, you need multiple pages. You could convert this back to, like, this is an artboard already, right? How do I know I can resize it? Okay. It says artboard over here. I mean, it says home because I renamed it. It used to be called artboard. Name it accordingly to the page. So right now, this is my home page. I'm going to call it home. I'm also going to hide the guides for now so they don't interrupt or interfere with my visuals. I'm going to go to view and show guides. I like to use my shortcut, which is command semicolon. Okay, you should know that one by now. I think even if you click here, it'll deselect them because it's part of this page. Well, there's your guides. So I have one artboard. This is my home page. And you're creating a band website. So you're going to have probably 4 pages minimum. If that's the case, then you're going to click on your artboard. Now, just to backtrack just a bit, because it's kind of tied in with this. When you create a web page from the get-go, from the very start, you have this artboard option on. So make sure you leave it on to for the purpose of creating multiple artboards. If you forget to turn it on, you can always convert your file into an artboard later. So this is what I wanted to come across so you don't get confused. So let me pretend I don't have it on. I purposely told you not to do it because it's easier to focus on this design. And you have the layer setup like you normally would. And you do have a few elements of design and whatnot. I'm just gonna simply, draw like a text box here with some stuff. Right. Right. So to convert this into an artboard after the fact is you literally have to go here and basically select all your layers. And if you right click, you can convert this into an artboard right now. So artboard from layers, we'll do just that. And we'll call this like, web page or something. And then it'll create an artboard of the web page. So you can always go back and forth, just like I did here. If you do want to reverse it and say, you know what, I didn't want to use an artboard. I don't want an artboard basically. Okay, so I'm going to right click and I can do what's called ungroup artboards. And this basically converts my artboard into a normal layered file. Good to know this because sometimes I've had students in the past that got stuck and they, hit the panic button saying, hey, I forgot to make an artboard. What do I do now? So it's no worries. Just select the amount of layers you want to create an artboard from. And you simply right click and you convert, you create artboard from layers. And that's what happens. All right, so in case you get stuck on that one, just want to make sure that's covered. So there you go. You have the artboard here. There's the home page. And the point of having artboards is to create, multiple page websites, right? Let's say we want to create a mobile responsive website. Okay, so in that case, we create a separate artboard as well. So I'm going to click on this artboard here. Okay. Better yet, you can actually go over here and with the artboard tool selected, you can just make a new artboard from scratch. right? You can also set up the artboard to match some kind of a mobile device. Now I know the pixels look like I do like an iPhone 5, so it looks a little more smaller in comparison to that one. Even the iPhone, I don't know, let's see here, 876, okay? Um, you have the iPad options, you have the Android, okay? Some of these look, you're saying, why is a cell phone bigger than a website? It's the pixels. It's as many pixels as go inside a phone. Sometimes it's even more than a desktop browser, especially now with, Retina display and all these other features that you have on these iPads and iPhones. It does, way heavier in pixels. So just pick something that's smaller in comparison, just so it kind of looks more um, comparable. So I'm gonna go with, let's say, what's this iPad Mini? There's even the Apple Watch. Okay, you can do a lot of different configurations here. Let's go with the iPhone 5. Okay, it's still, the width is 640, the height is 1136. Okay, if you do an email blast campaign, I don't know if you've done any marketing with email blasts. The width is 640 pixels when you get these emails from these marketing companies. So it does have a nice little format for that. I do like the 640 comparisons. Okay. And again, you can gauge it on any size you wish to fit the criteria. All right. So once you do that, you basically transfer this design onto here. Okay. And how you do that, you simply drag and drop some of the items, copy and paste. Sometimes people even just recreate it differently just to, fit this design. All right. So whatever you have to do, it's the process of transferring one artboard to the next. Because I'm giving you this example, I will use these graphics on this side here. I'm going to rename this and call it mobile version. It doesn't let you do it this way, unfortunately. So you have to kind of go all the way here and call this mobile, right? So this I can rename it desktop. This can be the mobile version. I will keep this open simultaneously so I can bring things back and forth. I'll switch over to the move tool now and simply grab this rectangle here, option drag it all the way to the other artboard like that. I don't like the length, how it extends over there. So I'm just going to basically resize it according to my specs and press enter. These are some of the techniques that you want to, build to deliver this mobile experience. Okay. Then you have a versatile or a responsive design. This becomes like a little hamburger menu. The little button you click and then the menu drops down from your phone. So you can definitely put that in here. I'll do a rectangle for now, just to show you some of these little principles here, right? Maybe this will be another color, perhaps. There's many ways of doing this. You can, of course, you have to invest some time in detailing this to make it look realistic. So I'm going to use the line tool here very quickly. It's going to zoom in. Hold shift and drag a line across, and then I'm going to also just change the fill color to just match the same blue, I guess. Here's your strokes. I don't know if I've used the line tool in Photoshop before in this class. So, just like anything else, there's your object tools, your vector tools in Photoshop right here. I know we did a lot of the clipping mask assignment or exercise a few weeks back. We're using the pen tool and some of the other vector tools that you would use in Illustrator. Well, Photoshop can definitely utilize those tools as well. So you just have to go in here and select them. This is the line tool. It does have a stroke option, so you can make it thicker. Okay, I don't think it's working here. I think you have to do it before. Oh no, never mind. Oh, there we go. I think you have to kind of select it from here and it'll listen afterwards. Let's make it 4. There we go. It's working now. And basically, that's how you do the actual stroke. It's got a fill. So remember, it's a fill is irrelevant because it's a stroke. I kind of confused the colors there for a second. So we'll match the stroke color by clicking here and selecting that same blue that I want to use. So just like Illustrator, a stroke is the outside border of the object. The fill is irrelevant when it comes to drawing lines like this. I'm going to hold the Option button and just do another copy here, another copy over there, and it'll do a nice symmetrical, distribution here. So it's even, a vertical distance. And if you look at your phone, I'm sure this looks quite familiar with you already with this hamburger button. I'm going to click on this shape. I wonder where's the other one here. There's the, okay. I was looking for the rounded corners option. Apparently you have to select the rectangle tool to get to that and just round the corners. I thought it'd be something you can do with the move tool, but not quite. Yes, unless you're in the path selection tool. Just like Illustrator, you can get these little corners. This stuff is new, eh? Like Illustrator had it first and Photoshop integrated after to do rounded corners. It was a nightmare. You had to do some little tricks to, had to corner the radius of the selection and do all kinds of little things to get this accomplished. Right now it's easy. Just use the object just like you would in Illustrator and do little things like that. Okay, let's quickly put some other things here. Usually the logo carries an important role. Just Option dragging it over here. All right, so there's the logo. It's gonna keep its presence on the website here. Maybe I'll make it a little touch bigger, right? There's a lot of transformative methods into converting websites into apps now. And it comes down to the designer, you, and then the developer converting, the website into an app, okay, or getting the right plugin to get it done. We'll do a lot of this fun stuff next semester in Figma and XD. I like both equally because Figma can do stuff that XD can't and vice versa. And they're both equally important to know because, different design studios use different programs. So the more you know, the better. So my job is to show you both and we'll have lots of fun doing this stuff then. I'm going to move this image here now. These guys are getting in the way a lot. So I'm just going to go to View, Show Guides. Okay. You can also open up the guides with the command semicolon, like I mentioned earlier. Here's this image, Option drag it over here, right? And just hit Command T. I'm gonna resize it. I mean, I do want it a little bigger, so I could purposely clip the image this way if I want. Okay, I can do that and press Enter. I just don't like these to overlap because sometimes this happens and this image doesn't know where to belong. All of a sudden, it ends up half here, half there. It attaches itself to this document. So be careful not to do this. So I'm doing it on purpose to show you what not to do. So be careful. All right, so if that's the case, then make sure you, so it's already glitching a little bit here. Okay. I think it froze on me. All right, I'm going to quickly do a file save or save as. I'll save it onto my desktop. I'll call it my class 12 file here, version 03. I'll put 3 3s. There we go. I'm sure you came across that issue of naming files back and forth. I like to use numerical sequence numbering like 01, 02, 03, 04. I'm sure you have the word final or finalized or revision, work in progress, different ways. I'm going to close this and reopen it because it did froze on me for a bit. So here's the file. Let's double click and let's reopen it. If that happens to you, same things apply. Just click and save the file first. Okay, so notice how with this mobile comparison here, you might have a 2-column split, sometimes a 1-column split. I like to do a 1-column split because it's easier to kind of bring things together that way. You can do different ways of expanding or calculating your maximum width values for different responsive measures with CSS and JavaScript and stuff, mostly CSS. So I'm going to keep this to a one column format. I'm going to click on the mobile artboard here, just elongate the vertical aspect a little bit like that. And I can basically create like a mobile design going forward. Okay. So I'm going to drag this image here. Okay. Option, drag it down here. Do like Command T and resize it. And this could have like a nice title, a nice image. I'll perfectly center it this way. I could create my columns. I'll do a manual setup this way. So everything will fit nicely within those columns. And I can, of course, calculate the distance equally from both sides. Perhaps I'll do like a 50 pixel setup this way. So basically from here, 640 to 590 would be 50 pixels that way. Okay, so I'm gonna go 50 pixels. I can even take off my snap option just to be more exact. Okay, just to show you that part. Okay, so there you go. So that means everything that you fit in here, should meet the right width parameters. All right, so you might have a little bit of text here, a little bit of a heading, whatever it is that you need for the website. I'm just going to put a quick title here. So I'm going to put this one here, image one, heading with a capital H. All right, and this could have some text over here. I'm just going to use this one here quickly. Option drag. And yes, you'll have the text a little bigger and you'll have it fitted to one column. And we'll just grab another one for the example. And whatever necessary, I mean, this might be longer, like all the way down here, like whatever it is that you're doing. Now, it's not really required for you to do a mobile version, but hey, if you feel like it and you're in a role and you want to show off your extra skills, that's how we say, well, students get that A grade or the A plus. This is where you come out. Did you go above and beyond to get that grade? This is what I always encourage students to do extra stuff like this to demonstrate some of the other skills they learn in Photoshop. So just a quick hint out there for you guys, and not to overwhelm you. I know you have a lot on your plate, but you do have some, you know, extra time. It'd be nice to show me how you can do both a mobile and a desktop version. I'm gonna quickly copy this over. As you can see, I'm not being too technical here, but enough to do this part. And of course, the footer comes here with other sections. I'm just going to wrap it up by grabbing this footer here over to the side. Ready? And I'm going to grab it like this. Right? And the social media icons, of course. We grab those as well. How do you center this perfectly in Photoshop? Like, how do I know this is in the center? I got the smart guides, which they do help. Okay. But let's say sometimes they don't activate for whatever reason. I can't center this. Here's the trick. Ready? You press Command A. Command A makes a selection of the entire artboard. You have the layer selected here, which is the objects, in this case, the buttons for the social media. Only then this alignment options come out from your properties at the very top. You can then go ahead and do like left align, center, or right align. Of course, I'm going to do center, and this is how you can perfectly center things within your selection. So bear that in mind because it's important. And lastly, I'll grab this little copyright thing, and that should be the end of that. And A, center, deselect. Right. There's your mobile version of the desktop website. Now, I didn't really go as far as organizing it here with my layers, but I will. Okay. Very important. Nothing worse than a sloppy looking design with no organization. Just like this one, I should have the mobile design. I would do it after. It's just a little faster. The workflow is faster doing it this way. As you can see, I did this quite quickly, you know. So if you just make a selection here, just going to move these up, right? After the fact, you can just simply have auto select layer on, which means if I just make some quick selection moves like this, I can select whatever is there. Oh, by the way, I forgot to crop this image. I didn't like how it overlapped. Remember that part? So we'll go down here. I will just grab this frame, the frame from that frame tool, and just simply drag it over here. So it doesn't extend further than the width. And that should solve the issue. All right. Another solid solution is to right click. All right. If it's really giving you a problem, I would do this. I would go ahead and convert it to a smart object. Okay. So then it is what it is. It's not going to extend anymore. It flattens the clipping that's involved with the image and the object. All right. So now basically I have two different versions. I will organize it. I'm going to select these two, or three, I should say. Right. And I'm going to press Command G, which means group. I'm going to call this the header. And this will be the body, all this stuff here. Command G. That's the body. This is the header. Oh yeah, that's look, what's with all these objects? It's the little lines I drew there with the elements. And this is the footer. Okay. Whatever's remaining, just select it. So I'm looking for this when you do your design, because I'm going to see it organized in such a way. And then I'll create the hierarchy of the um, structure. So I'm going to definitely fix that up. I don't have to label these. I mean, I labeled these, but these are, maybe they should be labeled just to keep it in tune with everything else. So I will use the same colors. I'll go with my classic blue for the header. For the body, I'm going to use maybe an orange. And for the footer, I'll use the purple. And this will keep it in line with my other designs. So I can easily, colors are great. I mean, you can really kind of categorize things in colors so you know what each color represents. And then, of course, the order. The footer goes at the bottom, like that. Yeah. Or maybe if you get stubborn, just drag the header at the very top of the footer. Literally, you got to kind of do that in this. I prefer from the bottom to the top, maybe. There we go. So the header's at the top, the body's in the middle, and the footer's at the bottom. All right. I'm going to do a quick save, and this is a good little example on how to do this responsive conversion from desktop to a mobile design. And just to compare like an real life example, I'll point you to one of my websites here, my Canadian Made Products website. There we go. This is my website, by the way. Haven't showed you before. I do have a few directories that I constructed over the years. These are not new, but time to update them, I guess. It serves as a, even from the pandemic to other times that we've had to challenge ourselves with the businesses. It was to help the Canadian businesses establish their new products and stuff, to help local businesses sustain and stuff. And we have a Canadian made products platform. The problem is I'm getting a lot of US and international people, and I got to filter them and delete them. And lately I've been a little busy, but I'm going to definitely clean it up when I have time. The point is this: here's my desktop version, here's my tablet version. Okay, this becomes a hamburger menu as opposed to before it was like a menu down here. And lastly, I mean, honestly, most people use their cell phones or desktop. Tablets are just as important too, but I'm getting to the mobile version. This is the mobile. This is the as minimal as it gets. And this is how, in comparison, you can see something like this can be a key role into designing it. Notice how everything's like one column. Okay. So this is a real example. And there's my hamburger menu that pops up. And yes, you should put the hamburger menu drop down here as well. Now, you're not going to do the actual interaction, but you will create the design. So you know how the menu should look like when it's there. The trick is you keep it hidden. So this way it doesn't get in the way when you design it. So you would create like a menu here, okay? Whether it's might be, something like this. Let me just quickly do a menu right now for you. Right, so this could be the menu that shows up when people do decide to click on this button, and you just simply put the menu right there. You can have it fly in, fly out, and all these different things. Should round the corners. I like rounded corners. They just look nice and neat. Hey, I don't want to round it everywhere. I only want to round this one. How about I do something like that? How do I round only this bottom left corner? Anybody know? Well, if I take my Illustrator skills to the test, I would remember that the direct selection tool lets me strictly select only this particular point. Watch it not work. In Illustrator, this works. If you select only this point, you can only round that corner. It doesn't give me that option, unfortunately. So let me just, let me see here. Is there a way to do this? To the rectangle tool. Yeah. It's all or none. Okay. Anyways, there's ways to deselect those, but I'll have to basically cut this thing apart. Not to worry. One quick solution is I can go to Illustrator and copy and paste the object, or I can just grab this rectangle here and just purposely extend it out and up. You can't see the rounded corners only on this part here. So that works as well. Just a quick fix. I don't want to dwell on this too much. Although we like to think Illustrator and Photoshop are pretty much alike when it comes to the um, amalgamation of tools and techniques. It's not. The pen tool's different. The drawing tools are different. They're very similar, but not 100% the same. All right, so the menu now gets transferred here. So all these menu items that you see from here get transferred over there. Basically, you convert this into a vertical menu. So you would have to just double click and just delete this part here, right? Hit delete and enter. Delete and enter. Delete and enter. And the same thing goes here. All right. Oh, there's another one. All right. And I think I'm missing a few little space over here. All right. So there it is. So there's my new menu. When people drop down, it'll look like this from a mobile design version. And also the space and the size. So I'm gonna just hit Command T, just make it a little bigger so it's visible. I'm gonna double click on the type icon here and press Command T, which is the character palette in Photoshop. Now, keep in mind, Command T is transform. But if you have text highlighted, it opens up the character like it does in, I guess, InDesign and Illustrator. And then you would go over here and increase your leading. Okay, the leading controls your line height basically, and then that's how you would do the menu like that. You can have a left align. Some people like perhaps to do maybe a right align, depending on how this menu set up. It might look nicer sometimes like this if you set it up that way, depending on your CSS and your delivery there. Okay, and I can condense the menu this way also. All right, so this is now going to be part of my mobile menu, and that'll be part of the header as well. So I'm just going to bring it here. Right, and the header consists of this mobile menu, and you can keep it hidden for now. So basically this and this, you can have another subgroup. And this is the menu extended. So you can hide and show the menu to show how the user, you can integrate the menu portion of your website. Okay, very cool. Again, look, you can do a lot of stuff in Photoshop from a visual aspect and then convert that into a real functioning mobile app like we will next semester using Figma and XD. Okay. And not to development standards, because that's another thing altogether. But when the design's done, it's so much easier to communicate with the dev team to execute the real product, because it's half the job basically. Half the job is design. The other half is development, execution. You can't develop an app without colors, images, content. So that's why your job is just as important, designing the prototype and then the developer executing the final product. Okay. So this pretty much solves that part there. Now you guys are doing a multiple page website. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to move this mobile menu on the left. So I make some room to the right. And I love how artboards shuffle in Photoshop just like that. Like Illustrator, same thing. Believe it or not, artboards didn't come out in Photoshop. I'll give you a little bit of Photoshop history here. Only until, I think, honestly, maybe 15 years ago. Okay, because before that, there was no artboards. You had to make separate files. Illustrator also had no artboards at one point. I remember Illustrator had no artboards. You'd have to literally create multiple pages separately and amalgamate them into PDFs and create a multiple page PDF that way. There was no multiple artboards. It wasn't a thing. InDesign was used for multiple artboards because it's a page layout application. So when you had multiple pages, anything pertaining like magazines and brochures and booklets, you would take the job to InDesign. Back then it was Quark Express. Even InDesign wasn't, just came on after. So anyways, those page layout programs were a way to, deliver these multiple page documents, right? Um, And if it's a single page, you would use the Photoshop and the Illustrator. But right now, with the multiple artboards available in all programs, you can pretty much do everything everywhere. But of course, I would not do a magazine in Photoshop or Illustrator or anything in that nature. When it comes to publishing multiple pages, InDesign, as you know already, you're using it in your other class, is definitely optimal and the way to go forward. Okay. This is only for doing mockups and stuff. We would do multiple pages. If it's like maybe 2 pages, I would do like an Illustrator file. I think I have an Illustrator file here. I'll show you quickly. I did a special just the other day. We're doing a lot of shows this week, and we're doing like flyers and stuff to promote products at shows, and like sell sheets. People love this stuff. This is where our graphic design comes in really handy. And it's not a matter of being creative. It's a matter of utilizing the tool or the programs to execute. So we have this thing here called, let me just show you this one flyer here. So this is an Illustrator file. It's called Woman in Dentistry. Okay, so this is a thing. We have an event this Friday, and all the women that are in dentistry, like a lot of the dental professionals, will be there. And they're gonna get this beautiful flyer here to get all these specials. So this is done in Illustrator, and of course you have 2 pages. If I was to do like a 10 page, sorry, 8 page or a 12 page booklet, I would not dare to do this in Illustrator. I would do it in InDesign. And this is how you can kind of see. I like to share with you these little stories because students always ask me questions. So I like to show you the difference of what I'm saying is basically what we do. This is the other one here. This is Technorama. Again, it's this April the 8th, which is coming up. A little bit of golf theme they wanted. Sometimes this is what things this is what sells. Okay, these flyers, you see this stuff in the mail everywhere. Print is not dead. People still use a lot of print to hand out to gift to people. There's only so much screen time you can get in your eyes, right? All right, so those are the 2 page kind of examples. Let's get back to Photoshop here so I don't get too far distracted. All right, so let's get with the other artboard now. We're talking about multiple artboards and why we would use them in a Photoshop website scenario. That's exactly the right step here. So I would take this approach next. I would grab the home page. Now watch this one. This one I made from scratch, and I customize it accordingly to the mobile fit. But this one, see these little plus buttons? This basically, I missed it. Look at that. This one basically duplicates the artboard to the right. Now that's great. I love this feature because then you can just have the same dimension copied over to the right and you can redesign the next page But think of all the work you have to do by dragging and dropping all these things that I had to do here. This was necessary because everything had to be resized anyways, but this is not necessary. For this one, I would definitely use a more smarter tactic and approach instead of me doing this, copy or duplicate function with the pluses. It's good for blank artboards because then you can make like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you can do stuff like this. Okay. And you can start designing, right? That's fine. But if it's something that's already designed, and this is the approach I prefer because, you want to start with one and then create the others. It's like a template approach. You hold Option, you grab the top left corner like this, which is just like Illustrator. You hold Option or Alt on your PC, and you drag it all the way to the other side. And you hold Shift to keep it steady. So Shift constrains it, Option duplicates it. Make sure you don't overlap because that's going to cause all kinds of problems. I hope you're using a mouse because without my mouse, I couldn't do this on my trackpad on my MacBook Pro here. So I'm gonna Option drag Shift, let go of my shortcuts, and there's my duplicate of the website. Okay. And this will be now renamed to About. It's my About page. This is a lot faster because now all you have to do is maneuver your, designs around. So this image might change to something else. It's a different layout, right? And things like that. So this is where you have to redesign maybe swap the images or something like that, right? So for this one, maybe just to show you how to quickly change this stuff. Go to my band website here. So I don't waste too much time on this because I think I showed you enough of these examples. Let's go to Photoshop class 11. Where's the other example that I had? I think it's number 10. I had a band website. I wanted to use that one for a second. Okay. All right, whatever. I'll just use these other images then. That's fine. I was gonna put the band over here. Here, let's get a picture of a band. I just want to really make it look different than the other one, so it stands out. So rock band, right? And I'm sure you have a picture of your rock band there, and you're good to go. Here's the good old rock band named Kiss from back in the day. I'm gonna save this Kiss band, and I'll save it on the desktop for now. I'm always gonna make a folder later. Okay. If you want to switch the not the greatest quality of image, of course, but watch how easy it is. You simply drag and drop, okay? And this changes the image because this was selected, right? So then you select the image in the little thumbnail, you resize the image, and it should fit your page accordingly. Okay. Now, if this doesn't look like a rock band, I don't know what does, right? So the about page will be obviously different, okay? You're gonna definitely change this up a little bit here. Whatever design that you're gonna create. It might be longer in height, okay? So this might be altered a bit as well. So we're gonna go and grab the entire footer section here. I'll just select the footer of the about page. Now watch this, auto select layer will be switched to auto select group because then I can move groups around. I don't have to struggle with selecting layers all the time. So this is my about page. It's going to be transformed to look like the about page. Follow me? All right, so this will be shoved down and this will be the about page basically. Okay, so I'm going to maybe switch this back to select layer. I like switching that back and forth. And perhaps I can option drag this over here and make a different text box and make this look like some kind of an important article or section for that page, right? So this is like the about page. And maybe I'll do another header here. about page. And of course, you're gonna make it look like you're not gonna type about page. You're just gonna write what the about page is about, right? Right. So this is a better way to create your other pages by you did all the hard work. You don't want to redesign the menu again and the headers and the footers and stuff. You just elongate it vertically, right? So you make another one after that. You simply hold Option drag. Another way to do it is this way. If you collapse all your stuff, um, you can right click. Okay. You can also do duplicate artboard. Okay. And this one will be called the home about, I don't know, songs. We have a songs list, right? And it'll just do it that way. If you don't like my option drag technique, okay, you can do right click, duplicate artboard. Okay, this is the songs page. So I will have probably, some list of songs that I want to put in here. Auto select group. Be easy here. I think there's gotta be a layer. Select group. I like this auto select group function. It's pretty easy. So this is my group again. Just I'm doing this to show you that not all pages have to be the same height, okay? And you should try to diversify the different sections if needed. So this is the songs page. I'm gonna make it look like a songs page. I'm gonna put a list of tracks here, a list of songs maybe. Oops, auto select layer. Maybe I'll delete these two things. Move these things down here. Tracks or songs, whichever one you like. All right, so this is where I'm going to put a list of my songs, and you can get some nice ideas online. Just look at your, iPod or your iPod. Wow, did I just say that? look at your iTunes list, right? Uh, used to be the iPod, played our songs in the iPod. Songs list. Okay, let's go some images here. You can see how. Um, Speaking of iPod, let me show what the iPod used to look like. See, a very old school looking list selection menu. Um, Song list. Now you got, like, of course, the Spotify there. You can see how Spotify lists their tracks and stuff. You get some different ideas from the design. Song list, just to give you some more ideas, right? So, this is your common kind of thing with the player, the volume, the little equalizer, right? This kind of look, just like you would see it on your phone and stuff. I'm just going to use this as an example here because you're going to design this. Obviously, you're not going to do copy and paste like I'm doing it from the website, but this might work. Okay. This might be a little track, little player here. I'm going to keep this perhaps smaller. This will be like, now I'm going to set up into two columns my website here because, why not, right? And this will be over here on this side, and this will be on this side over here. All right. And I've seen this before. I've seen like players like this that go on websites, and you can actually play the music tracks on the website. I have a friend that he does a lot of music stuff, and I think he has something like this on his. And yeah, you can definitely listen to the music, right? And lastly, we'll do another page here quickly just to kind of finalize this thing because we're almost done, right? I like this right click duplicate option. So you have this will become, contact or, merch. I think you have a merch page. Yes, you do. The merch page. Okay. So the merch will have all the merchandising that's being sold uh, for the band. Okay. Or maybe a contact page or something. So as many pages as you have, you're going to create here. And bonus mobile version here as well, right? And you don't have to do multiple pages for the mobile because this will execute different pages as well, just like you would on the desktop. But this is fine and adequate for this. Okay. So the merch, of course, will have different ways of producing this stuff. Uh, right. So you have all these different merchandise displayed, right? And you have different products, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats, whatever, right? This is your merch page. So that's why you're gonna quickly, whoops, I keep switching this between layer and group. There we go. Right, buyer products. And we're gonna center this one here. All right, there we go. So once you get the hang of this stuff, it's really not a big deal. I mean, your Photoshop skills are right now at a level where you can do this kind of stuff nice and easily. Just a matter of putting in the work and getting your right content and getting this across. All right. So now, you save this as your normal, Photoshop file, because the good thing is it saves everything in one file. Like, how cool is that, right? So if I do exit this and go to my, Photoshop document, this is the preview of what it looks like, right? This is the Photoshop file. And if I do Command I, just to kind of get info, it will exceed them like 38 megs. Good thing it's not a 300 DPI file because it's a screen resolution, which means it's good for websites and stuff and screens. So you don't have to have a high resolution. If this was a high resolution file, it'll probably be 300 megs instead of 38.5 megs. So that's the good thing. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so just even if it hits like 100 megs, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. Okay. Alrighty. So that's that. For the assets, when you export them, because you're doing multiple artboards, same thing I showed you last week, you simply have to, rename. Look, when you do this one part and you relay it over here, the names will transfer over. And to export these assets, you simply have to go to this folder and rename your stuff like I did in that lesson. I'll do one more. I'll do this one quickly so you understand what I'm saying, okay? So this one here, just kind of find this stuff now. All right, so let's go to the home page. Okay, this is the home page, right? Hero banner.jpg. Okay, so it's already set up. This is image 3, image 2. So I already named my prefix for my layers to be exported into image assets because now I'm ready to put this into a website, like a real HTML website. So I want to make sure all my files are named. See, look at this. This one's also named accordingly, right? Image 5 JPEG. This is like footer.png, social media. So all everything's named. The only thing you have to reproduce is some of the new elements, like maybe this band over here, this Kiss brand. So I don't want that to be called hero banner.jpg. That's not really, it's going to override the other one. So it's going to confuse the matter. So I'm going to call this, Kiss band dot jpg, right? Maybe I'll put an underscore. Underscores are great when it comes to the nomenclature for names because, as you know, spaces are not allowed on the internet. You can't have a space in your email or a website. You got to replace that with hyphen or some kind of an underscore. No special characters allowed either, so just keep it simple. Underscores work really well, and that should be able to work. Okay, so underscore band. So that's something different. This is a text element, so you might want to copy the CSS code like I showed you in the other class into your, to copy the CSS code, you click on the text layer, you go to type. Actually, it's under the selects, no, layer menu, copy CSS. Because when you do that and you open up your, text editor or visual code or VS Code Basic, if I paste this now, this is the CSS for this text box. And then this can relay into my real website. So whatever I do here, I can mimic on the real HTML side. All right. And I'll leave that up to Felice. I know he's doing a great job with you guys on the website of things. So he's going to be getting to this stuff. I'm not going to bother. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little rusty because it's been a while since I did a lot of this HTML stuff. I do edit it from time to time, but I'm mostly strictly doing consulting and design now. And yeah, I love to do some code when I get a chance. So I'm going to save this as a CSS file. Now, don't call it CSS because it's an actual css.txt. It's a text file that references my CSS to be copied and pasted into the right, area when I'm ready. So for now, it's just going to be css.txt onto my desktop. That's all. And I can keep piling up more code here. I go to other parts of my website, copy and paste the CSS, and paste it in the same area. But I'm not going to do that because that's going to take up a lot more time. Let's go get this image here. This one also is my playlist that I'm going to use. Okay. So this is some graphics that I'm going to incorporate in my CSS. Definitely going to put my, songs.png. Okay. That's going to be another executable file here. I might have other thumbnails of merchandise. I'm going to name all of them accordingly. That's going to supplement that. So that's great. Okay. Maybe I'll just rename these. I'll call it, merch 01, JPEG. This will be merch 02 JPEG, and this will be merch 03 JPEG. Okay. So basically I'm renaming all my layers accordingly so I can generate my image assets so I can help me with my HTML. It's also a requirement for this project. So I want to make sure you know to do this. Okay. Because it's not just design, it's executing material for the development team, the developers, the people on the back end, and maybe you might be on the front end. There's people that are working on the back end, which is the JavaScript and the code. When you work for a big corporation, you're not going to be doing everything. In a smaller company, perhaps you're going to wear many hats, like I used to do in the past. You would be a designer and a web page developer in one. Not more like designer, not developer, because that's more deeper than what you're learning at this point. But yeah, I mean, the more you know, the better, of course, right? More companies want to hire people that can do more things. All right, so basically now I renamed everything accordingly. I'm going to resave my file at that location. The location is my desktop. So if I activate this generate image assets option, notice how it's not checked on. If I check it, it's going to get checked right now just to show you. It's going to be on right now. See how it's checked on? That means wherever this is saved to right now, there's a folder that was exported with the assets. Okay. And there's my, there's the CSS file. This is other file that we're going to use later. Okay. I'm going to do this one for a nice little video effect. Alrighty. And then, yeah, this is the CSS and this is the assets. Let's have a look. So the good thing about this is it compiles all the documents, all the artboards, and creates all the assets necessary for your website. Look, just because I renamed this merch 1, merch 2, and merch 3, it differentiated them from the original image 1, 2, and 3. So just by renaming files in other artboards, you get duplicates of those files. Okay. This was the social media one. Look, songs. This is a new one we put in there. I mean, realistically, you're not going to have something like this. You're going to have the little icons that will help you put into your HTML for the song. So this will be more segmentized, right? Or segmented into different parts. This is the Kiss Band banner. Okay. I don't know why this is extra here. Perhaps I could have trimmed it out. All right. And things like that. I mean, you can really, really help you export these things because when you make the website, you just dump these things in there and there you go, right? All right. So when you hand in this project to me, as it is the requirement for your composite assignment 2, you will give me the actual, Photoshop file, this one with the assets. Okay. And the assets will have all these things there. All right. So this is what I want from you 2 weeks from now when you have this done. Okay. So Now let's move on to the next part. Any questions so far? I can always pause and just see where everyone is at. All right. We're good. Everyone's good. All right. Excellent. And this is being recorded, so I know if it's a little overwhelming, if it's too much, just pause and watch the video. Watch it again if you have to, if you can stand my voice for that long. And then we'll keep practicing. It'll be good. All right, so then let's go ahead and get to the next part. So I have a nice full video here with no interruptions. That's great. And let's continue. All right, so the next part now is the animation. So welcome to the School of Animation. All right, so we're going to be continuing. You know what, actually? Let's take a break because I like to have a separate video for this. I'm going to keep this video as my Photoshop continuation of execution of the artboards in the mobile app. We'll take a quick 5 to 10 minutes break. I really want to grab some water too. And then when I come back, I'll do like a separate video for the animation. How does that sound? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And this way we're going to keep it separate. It's easier to announce. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. Alrighty. What the heck did I just do? Okay, 1 second here. Sorry. Too many windows. All right. Like I said, I'm going to pause the video for now and we'll continue in 10 minutes. Okay. So it's 7:30, 7:40. I'll meet you back here. Okay. So see you soon.